Welcome to Saying Yes Again,
a podcast about second chances, real love, and opening your heart after heartbreak.
We're your hosts, Dr. Lisa
and Tony,
a midlife couple who found love after divorce. And now we're here to share our story.
And to remind you that it's never too late to say yes again.
So put on your headphones and listen closely, because your next yes could be the one that changes everything. So maybe this sounds like you. My problem is, whenever I've tried to open up about my feelings to anyone, I get either ignored or in trouble. So I tend just not to do it anymore and either walk away or just stay quiet. So that was something that was shared with us. So we thought that we would share it with you. And it really is what we're going to be talking about today, right? So today we're going to be doing a deep dive into what might be the scariest part of dating.
Yeah.
What's that scary thing
I don't
about
know
dating after 50?
I mean, I think it could be absolutely frightening. It is. Are we ready? Vulnerability.
Yes, being vulnerable.
Being vulnerable, yes.
So I think that's what that viewer was talking about, right? The scary part of just opening up to people and sharing your deepest concerns, your deepest feelings, only sometimes to be ignored or to be pushed away, or to not be taken seriously. Yeah. But being open and vulnerable is something that's really important in a relationship.
It's extremely important. It's actually what's needed in a relationship, that vulnerability factor.
Yeah, absolutely. So we hope that today, by the end of the episode, that we can give you all some practical tools about how to approach this very scary topic of being vulnerable after loss, after heartbreak, after divorce. How do you open yourself back up again? And what does that feel like? And what does that look like?
I'm ready. I'm ready to go. And I think the people are ready to hear it. Let's just dive in.
Yes, let's just dive in. So what did that feel like for you after divorce?
It was very traumatic for me, because when you get married or whatever, obviously you've grown to a certain level of vulnerability. And so after ending a long-term relationship, a marriage or whatever, you have to start all over again as far as this vulnerability space. So it was quite traumatic. It's like, how do you share, personal or vulnerable things about yourself and not feel like you're going to be judged? But I guess we're going to get into all of that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about that armor, right, that we put on after heartbreak. What are some of the things that maybe shows that you have that armor, that you have that wall built up?
Well, you're avoiding deep conversations, right? Canceling dates, just real short, isolated, closed off, all the typical flaws. We might feel like we have them manifested, or, we become proficient at them, but they wreak themselves periodically within a relationship, marriage, or whatever. But those are some of the things. It's kind of like a little safety net.
Yeah, definitely. And you just helped me to remember a time in our relationship where I definitely had the armor up and was using that safety net of having that wall built. One of the things that I did,
Not you.
I know.
Not you. I don't remember. Well, refresh my memory. Let me see now. Did I forget something?
So remember when we were very early on in our relationship? I think it might have been our first date, maybe our second date. I don't know.
Second date?
And I was really afraid. I mean, now I know it was basically not wanting to be vulnerable. I was really afraid about taking that next step, in the dating process.
Wow.
And I knew if we were on this date, I would have to open up. I'd have to talk. We have to kind of get to know each other a little bit more. And I was procrastinating about that date, almost to the point where I almost canceled.
Wow. Oh.
Do you remember that?
I remember that date. Yes. Fellas, ladies and gentlemen, I was like anticipating this first date. I was so intrigued by the conversations we were having. Obviously, I liked the look and everything. And my whole day it was based around this date. You know how you have something that you're excited about, you maybe getting a few butterflies or whatever, and then now you're within 2 hours of having to attend this date. So what do? You do the typical phone call. I did the typical phone call, just kind of to see where we were, if we were still on or whatever. And I'm gonna let her finish from this point on.
So I remember that day. I spent the day actually shopping with my girlfriend. So
Hmm.
shopping is, one of my vices. I spent one day shopping with my girlfriends and we were kind of just out lollygagging, hanging out. I mentioned to her that, I kind of was supposed to meet up with this guy. And she said, "Okay, well, what time do you have to be ready?" And I don't recall if I told her the time, but so we were just kind of, messing around. So, long story short, we get into the car on the way back home. I looked at my watch and I was like, you know what? I'm supposed to meet this guy within an hour. We're within an hour drive of even getting home.
Within an hour. Did you notice that? Within an hour.
How am I going to make this date? And lo and behold, you called and you called while we were in the car driving.
Yeah.
I put on speaker, and I was like, "Girl, this is this guy I'm supposed to be going out with." And you
Wow.
said, "Hey, I just called us to see how things are going, if we're still meeting up." And I said, "Well," I kind of got the I don't know in my voice.
Oh man.
I'm kind of running late.
And I knew right from there. I'm like, wow, I've been looking forward to this moment throughout the day, and here we go.
Oh my gosh. And then my girlfriend, she just jumps in, like, and just gives me a parachute, I guess. But she just jumps in and just was like, we're on our way. Can you wait for my girl? Because we'll be there shortly. If you could just wait for her, I'll make sure that she gets ready and she's ready for this date.
I said I could definitely wait for her. Just let me know what time she's gonna be available.
So I couldn't get out of it. I couldn't back out of it. She wouldn't let me get out of it. You called at the right time, and we ended up having a wonderful date.
Yeah, yeah. Vulnerability. Vulnerability could have caused us not to be together, what, 4 years later. Vulnerability could have caused us not to have been able to take so many trips to other countries to even be married.
Hmm.
So, I
Yeah.
mean,
So that's the cost, right? The cost for me and for us, if I had not just, opened up and been willing to go on this date, could have been I would have lost out, like you said, on all those things.
but more importantly, babe, I look at it from another perspective as well. It was growth for you.
It
You
was.
broke through a ceiling that has allowed you to continue to be fluorescent and to continue to grow.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And I'm having to work on that vulnerability.
yeah,
Yeah, even to this day. But that was definitely a breakthrough for me,
yeah.
definitely.
I almost forgot about that. Wow.
So, when we talk about trust and vulnerability, I have to bring my medical side into this,
No
right?
problem. No problem.
So there's actually a science behind trust and vulnerability.
Yeah.
And it's called like the biology of trust, right? So when we feel safe, when we feel like we can trust someone,
Okay.
um, our body tends to release this hormone called oxytocin.
Oxytocin.
Oxytocin is
That's a
like
new one for me.
a love hormone, the trust hormone, it's the feel good hormone, right? And the more that we can practice being vulnerable, being open, and the more
Mm.
that we can feel safe and feel like we're in a trusted environment, we release more of that happy hormone.
The more oxytocin that you release,
Yeah, and you
release that
feel
oxytocin, baby. Yeah.
and you feel happy, you feel like you're at peace, you're flourishing. However, when we feel scared, when we feel
Okay.
like we're being betrayed, when we feel like there's a lack of trust,
Okay.
we release this other hormone called cortisol.
Cortisol. We don't want to release
And we don't
cortisol.
really want to release cortisol. It's that stress hormone, that makes us feel anxious. It kind of gives us that fight or flight sensation all
Oh
the
wow.
time, being on edge. And also has some, negative health implications as well.
Does it? What are some of
Yeah.
the
So like elevated blood pressure,
Okay. Wow.
weight gain, even elevated cortisol can cause weight
So
gain.
you can negatively impact yourself simply by refusing to be vulnerable.
Yeah, or just refusing to be vulnerable, but also I think being in spaces that don't allow you to be vulnerable.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
You can definitely start to release some of those negative hormones that we really don't want to have around in our
No,
system.
not at all.
Yeah. So
Not
that's
at
why I
all.
think it's just important for us to talk about it because, in addition to it being important for our relationships, it's also really important for, I think, our health in general, our well being.
You're talking about the vulnerability aspect?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Absolutely. So, what are some steps you think that we can take? What are some of the steps that we can give our listeners about how to approach that?
I think a few of the steps is just, just take little small baby steps, if you will, in terms of this whole vulnerability plight, right? You don't have to unveil every secret about yourself, but just take small little baby steps and see how that goes, you
Yeah,
know?
definitely. I like that because I think sometimes a lot of people feel like, oh, in order for someone to trust me, in order for someone to be my friend, or in order for someone to kind of want me as a partner, that I have to unveil
No,
every
you do
last
not.
detail about myself. And you don't.
No.
Absolutely. You don't. And the small little baby steps, I think, kind of helps you to
Build
build
confidence.
confidence. That's the word I was looking for. Absolutely. It helps you to build confidence
Yeah.
about doing that more in the future.
Right. Just be mindful of who you're taking those steps with,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
If you stay in good company, they tend to be receptive to that.
Yeah. Sharing a mild insecurity. Maybe it's just about your fear of dating. Maybe you're just afraid of going on dates
Yeah.
because of whatever the reason is. But that could start a conversation.
I remember telling her about, in my latter 50s. I have what's called the little midriff going on, and I don't really feel good about it. I used to play ball, exercise, and as you get older, some of those things get a little difficult. And I believe when we were having dinner, I mentioned that to you. I'm
You
like,
did.
hey, I might as well just put it all out there,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? I also went on to tell you, hey, listen, I'm not a baller. I'm a budget baller, right? I didn't want to give her the wrong framework. Yes, I am responsible, but I just wanted to be honest.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day, she appreciated that. And it caused her to talk, in little megabytes about some of those things that she typically would deem to be vulnerable,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
vulnerable about. But
Absolutely.
yeah,
No, I did appreciate that. And I think that, maybe sometimes having a couple of questions that you may want to maybe ask someone, right? If you're on a date, if you've gone on a couple of dates, I don't know that I would ask these questions the first date, but
hmm
if you've gone on a couple of dates with someone and you feel like you want to either learn more about that person or you want to open up a little bit more, just think about some questions that you would maybe bring to the date.
is this where we would say something to the tune of, where do you see yourself in 5 years from now?
It could be
I mean,
that
could that be one of
question.
those questions?
It
Now, we
could
mentioned
be.
that in what episode did we talk about that?
Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Yeah, so we mentioned that in our episode,
Five
the five non-negotiables, the
non-negotiables. Correct.
non-negotiables episode, which is episode 5.
Yes.
And I had mentioned, or you had actually brought up that was that was one of the questions that
Oh,
I
I
asked.
can't stand that question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? But
Yes,
it's a
yes,
good icebreaker, and it gives you an indication of who you're potentially dealing with.
absolutely,
So,
absolutely. So that's a question, definitely. Another question could be, what are you most proud of? Right? I think that says a lot about the person.
yeah, well, what are you most proud of, baby? Let's put you on the spot. What are you most
Oh,
proud
what am
of?
I most proud of? I have so many things that
And
I am
start
proud
with
of.
start with
So
one.
I think what I'm really most proud of is that I was able to raise 2 kids that are responsible adults.
Wow. And that's
Good
major.
people,
That's
responsible
major.
adults, God-fearing. Yes.
That is major.
Yeah, that's what I'm most proud of. Thank you, honey. So another question that you can ask is, what's something that you're still working on about yourself,
Hmm.
right? Because I think we all still have work to do on ourselves.
Oh, definitely.
Growth is a forever thing. It keeps
Work in
going, work
progress.
in
Work in
progress.
progress.
So I think that's a question that you could definitely ask and could be a good conversation starter.
Well, you hadn't asked me, but I got up today. I did about 3 miles, right?
Hmm.
So I'm working on that aspect as far as improving myself. Um, the patience deal,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Right. And that's just one or two things about myself. So
Yeah.
it's always good to be working on something,
Absolutely. It's always
right?
good to be working on something. Yeah. And then what are you looking for in this stage of your life? Is another question that might be helpful, especially for us that are um, seeking love for a second time around, right? Because I think a lot of us, in this stage of our life, we kind of know at this point, hopefully, where we're going and
Yeah,
what we want.
definitely.
So we want to make sure that we're in alignment with the person that we're connecting with.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah. So yeah. So where are you in the stage of your life? I think is another great question.
Those are some excellent questions, and they're not really sophisticated or whatever.
Hmm.
They're small little icebreakers, type deal. So I would strongly recommend those.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And then I think the other thing too that we have to start doing with this whole vulnerability exercise is we have to really work those muscles of vulnerability.
Oh yeah, because the vulnerability muscle is just like a physical muscle. You go to the gym to work out, right? You pray to strengthen your spiritual relationship. You handle your finances by having a budget, etc. But what do you do from a vulnerability standpoint? You have to practice in baby steps, if you will,
Hmm.
like we said before, megabytes, and then
Hmm.
you graduate to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
so a good point. Good point.
Yeah. I look at it also like just a rinse and repeat, right?
Mm.
So try it one time, whatever works, whatever you find works best, rinse and repeat. Do it again. Keep doing it again and again till it becomes something that you're, again, just very comfortable with.
Hmm.
Yeah. So let's talk about this though. So we're talking
What are
about
we
like
talking about now?
opening up, we're talking about being vulnerable, the steps that you should take. Sometimes that may backfire,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah,
Sometimes it may backfire. I mean, like I mentioned early on by the statement of one of our viewers who
yeah.
said that they kept opening up and,
Wow.
and just at some point just decided they were either going to just walk away or just stop sharing because of the negative feedback. A lot of times that does happen, where vulnerability backfires. So what do we do then? What do we do when that happens?
You might just want to retract. You might not want to dispel. Like I mentioned early on, not everybody is deserving of your vulnerability information or your vulnerability space. So, and one of the strategic reasons for sharing vulnerability about yourself in small pieces is that when you find that blockage, or you find that people are not receptive, or you find that people are gossiping
Mm,
about the information you choose to share or be vulnerable with them about, then I mean, now you know
now you know.
not to share with that person. Not everybody is going to caress your vulnerability, you know,
Mhm. Or
as you
protect your
would.
peace
Correct.
or your
So
space.
you just take your information, you gather it up,
Yeah.
package it up, put it back in your vulnerability pocket, and keep it
And keep it
moving.
moving.
you
Yeah.
know because when I chose to share my vulnerable things about myself with her, I was reading her body language.
Mm,
I was very much aware of, like, okay, is this person receptive? If this is this person interested?
mm.
So her body language told me that, keep on speaking, brother. I'm taking notes, right? So then I had to kind of like put the brakes on and say, wait a minute, just don't get all intoxicated into the atmosphere and tell too much. But again, it worked out okay.
Yeah, that's so funny. I think that has to do with my discipline in some respects because I feel sometimes people just tell me way too way
Yeah.
too much information. But I pride myself in making sure that I'm that entrusted person that
Yeah.
if they feel comfortable enough that that I'm providing that space where they
That's what
feel
I
good
call
about it.
sausalito. She'll provide you with that comfortable, intoxicating space till you relinquish or unveil everything about yourself.
Not
So, But
Well, some
anyway,
of the things I think is just important, like you mentioned, for people to really think about when they're sharing information and then it seems like it's backfiring, is to be aware. Be aware of what that person is giving off, the vibe. So you're right. So if the body language is off, if they're very dismissive, if you find later that they're sharing your information,
if they're talking over you,
talking, oh,
I call it running over your conversation because they're so focused and fixated on what they want to say that they're not even listening to you. So if they're
yeah,
running over your conversation, you obviously know, hey, this person isn't deserving of
yeah,
what I have to say from
yeah.
from a vulnerability aspect.
Yeah. Judging
Oh
also
yeah,
having this judgment about what you're saying, I think also
yeah.
is
We already have a Supreme Court. We don't
does
need another one, right?
right. What point in the relationship do we want to get to in terms of vulnerability? What space do we want to get to?
We want to get to a space. I would think we want to get to a space where we both can, discuss those things that we deem to be vulnerable in a healthy respect, and not be apprehensive
Mhm. Mhm.
about that, right?
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
I think that's one of the key prerequisites that we have to satiate on this plight to saying yes again,
Mhm.
right? Saying yes again to love, saying yes again to life, saying yes again to marriage. We
Yeah.
have to take some of these steps that we've been talking about, satisfy them, only to
Mhm.
get.
Yeah. Definitely. I think we should definitely be working towards that, working towards that space of creating mutual vulnerability. So where it's like a nice, dance of sharing information where one person
Definitely.
doesn't feel kind of slighted or the other person doesn't feel like,
Yeah.
they're doing too much. But certainly just that balance, right? That balance of just mutual vulnerability.
Yeah.
So I think that that's healthy, when both people can do that. And again, I think it's important to remember that it doesn't have to be immediate or right away,
No,
right?
no, no. It
That
doesn't
it
have
can
to be
happen over
immediate.
time.
Doesn't have to be immediate.
Yeah,
No.
it can
So,
happen over time. And I think it's important for people to grow into that space of not being judgmental and not forcing the other person to feel like they have to just spill everything,
right.
immediately, that
Well,
it can come over
if
time.
somebody coming across like that, this is my personal opinion. If somebody's coming across that way, like almost as if they're forcing you to try to, to accelerate to a space that they may feel as though they're at, I mean, you guys, there's something wrong with that
Mhm.
picture right there. That's a red flag, a
Mm,
double red
definitely
flag,
red flag.
you know?
Yeah,
So, like
definitely.
she said, it's a space that you should grow to
Mhm.
naturally,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, yeah. And the other person should be, open and willing to wait for that to happen,
Exactly.
you know.
Are you vulnerable?
I think
You're so
I am.
strong and educated and all this.
What
Are you
does that
vulnerable?
mean?
No, it's just a question. I want tell
I'm
the people, are you
vulnerable.
vulnerable?
I am. I think sometimes it takes time. For me, it does. I think it takes
Hmm.
time. I'm definitely not one of those that, just dispels things, or kind of releases information immediately. So we talked about some of the red flags. What are some of the green flags or the positive signs that someone would show to just indicate that yes, this is a safe space. I can
Hmm.
talk. I can, feel like I can open up. What are some of you know, the positives or the green flags that might say that? What do you think?
Well, they remember some of the vulnerable subjects that you guys have had,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
It,
Yeah.
they remember some of the vulnerable subjects that you guys have had, and they don't hold your vulnerabilities against you,
Yeah.
right? And they reciprocate.
Mhm.
Reciprocity is a true indication that somebody is listening to what you have to say when you unveil your vulnerability.
Yeah.
If they
Yeah.
can reciprocate, then that tells you they're engaged, and
Mhm.
you got them. No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, I think the actual part though about not holding it against you is really crucial
Oh,
because
definitely.
um, that goes along with that trust factor, right? Can I trust you to be able to tell you some things that may not be so positive or nice or whatever about me that you can hold in that and again in that safe space
Yeah.
for me.
For example, if I've gone through an ugly divorce and it was very, very painful, although I've gotten to a real good space of being healed, I might have to talk to my mate about
Mhm.
some of what transpired or just maybe the way I feel about that. Can you
Mhm.
handle that? Can you
Mhm.
keep that just between you and I? Can
Mhm.
you not hold that against me?
Mhm.
And,
Yeah,
you, you,
definitely.
sometimes we need that. So,
Yeah, we do. We definitely do need that. So, as we conclude, just I think it's important to remember that vulnerability isn't a weakness. And I think that's what we were alluding to when we are saying, can you hold my information, right? And not hold it
safe and
against me,
secure.
safe and secure, because I don't want to be made to feel that I'm weak because I'm sharing this.
No.
So, vulnerability isn't about weakness, it's really about just having the courage to open up, to break down the walls, to have a deeper conversation and to allow someone into your space.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very beautiful thing about relationships. And we hope that a lot of people out there that may be experiencing this or at that vulnerability crossroads, that you've taken away some of what we've had to say
Mhm.
about, progressing through this vulnerability cycle. It's
Yeah.
okay to be vulnerable,
And
you know,
every time you open up, I think you open up your heart, you open up the chance to saying yes again. You open up
definitely.
your space to a second chance, whether it's marriage or whether it's just, finding that right partner or whether it's just finding, you know, joy again in your life. Being open and being vulnerable will get you to, that next stage.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. I couldn't have said it better.
So here's one final thought. The most beautiful relationships in life, the ones with real depth and staying power, are built on the foundation of mutual vulnerability.
Wow.
So,
That's
yes, it's
powerful.
scary. Yes, there are risks involved, but I couldn't imagine life with someone without being able to have that open form of communication.
That's right. So she basically just said she couldn't fathom or imagine life without me. Mwah. I like it, baby.
All right. So, what do we want to share with our listeners as we close up?
um, Saying yes again is about the ability to say yes to love, life, and second chances, right? We really appreciate you participating in our podcast in the past, and obviously this one here. We ask that you guys join our community by subscribing. That's how we grow our community. Subscribing to our podcast, right? Again, it's on all platforms, babe. And what are those?
Yeah. So definitely, if you're on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. Don't just follow us or like us, but definitely
Yes.
subscribe so that we
Subscribe.
can open up our community. Also, you can follow us on all of the major podcast platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeart. We're on all those platforms as well. So if you happen to be a podcast listener, then please follow us there and also, subscribe and follow our channels over there as well.
And in closing, I'd like to again thank you guys for participating in our podcast. The United States has been tremendous, but I also like to say hello and thank you to our listeners in South Africa, as well as the UK and any other countries that's been tuning in.
Absolutely. We are so grateful for the viewership and the
Yes,
support.
yes, we are.
All right. So until next time,
Until the next time, have a wonderful day,
have a wonderful day.
and thanks again for tuning in.